We are fake. Today we are going to be honest for our history and the way we are doing stuff. Maybe that's going to be the change in the continent. There is too much hypocrisy. Africans, there is too much of hypocrisy. I remember last time, and I take full credit of what I say because some part of what I say I was ignorant, and I take responsibility of my ignorance. Okay, I remember that I was saying that there was the French president. I think it was Macron. I don't know who was the president who did it, or it was Sarkozy. I don't remember. Who I say he was lecturing African to stop having many children per family, and I say that no, actually I agree with him. Yeah, I agree with him later on. Yeah, and I say that people were angry, even me. At the time, I was angry because, we African, are not humble. We are not humble. That's why we never learn from history because we are not humble. For people to move, a people who forget the history or who forget history is condemned to live the same thing over and over and over again. He was talking about how many Africans have having children per family, and it's no longer possible nowadays. And I agree with him. The more people you have, the less resources you have. You have countries in the world, just to name one on one, China. They had the politic of birth. It was about stabilizing the country in a way. Family were now almost, we say, almost forced to have one child per family at the time. I don't know if you see the same thing, because there are so many there are billion people at the time, and I think the information I'm talking now is been a long time. I was in high school, so I don't know. I should have maybe do my research before talking about that, but I remember that it was one child per family at the time. And when we were young, you were shocked because for us African, one child is nothing. You have to do 3, 4, 5, 6 children. Okay, so understand that for us, we couldn't understand what it was. Okay, but when the French president said that to African, you were all angry. Even intellectual were angry. But when you think about it today, there are consequences of having many children per family in Africa. We see the result today. And sometimes I realize that sometimes these European people, they don't come to just lecture us. Sometimes it's not a way to be too pride. Sometimes listen to them. Because if you want to be developed like them, they are the example of development through the history. They have shown us that, in their own history, we saw what happened. We saw all the crises they went through to become this country that we are attracted to go. So why is wrong to listen to them if they give us advice like don't do this, because we went through that. They went through many crises. They went through their independence is different. They fought for independence, is true, but then they have industrial revolution that start, I think, in the UK, sorry. They start and it spread around the industrial revolution. They fought the child labor that still exists in Africa today, because in Africa don't see no shame to do child labor. No shame to do child labor in Africa. And you know that what I'm saying is true. There are many people who have child labor in their home. It's not a problem for them. They feel comfortable with child labor. Okay, but in Europe, they fought it. In America, same. All the laws that we see in human resource and all this, the workplace and so on, it was the price of blood. Because in people, when they were working at the time, if I remember what I read, sometimes families will not see their father or the person who went to work not coming back, because when there were accident, this person will be gone. No accountability, you are dead. Or Sometimes the person will come back with a broken leg or something like that, body, a lost part of body, and something like that. It had to be a certain point where they say enough is enough. We are not slaves. We are employees, but we are workers, but we need to have our right. It didn't come anyhow. There was a sacrifice for that. Okay. So when they come to us and try us to educate us on what is important for us, that is best for you to have, it's not necessarily that they want to little us. It's because sometimes they tell you, we went through that. We have the crisis. We have this economic crisis. We have the birth crisis. We have this, we have that. So to avoid you to go through the same thing, this is what we suggest that you should be doing. Africans get angry. Africa get angry. They say, oh, why people always want to lecture us that we have kids? But yes, you are kids. Because the problem is even the way they say, okay, take care of your own country. You say you want independence, then take responsibility of your independence. You cannot. You are always begging. That's all we do. And now when they try to treat us like we are responsible, we get angry. They try to tell us that, okay, if you really want to go to that level, this, you get angry. So there is a lack of humility with us. Africans have a lack of humility. It's a fact. Okay? You don't want to admit that, yes, there were the bad part of colonization, but there are also things that we learn from them. And the most I saw when I talked to my parents, uncle, my father is no longer, most of my mother, most of them were coming from families, parents who had nothing. They were living in villages. This generation of our parents, they went to school under colonization. And they went to school. The colonizer gave them the opportunity to even go study in their countries. You see the studies these people did in their time. They did way more than their parents couldn't even expect them to have. I told you about my uncle who was telling us the story that his father didn't know how to read. He was always there in the village. At the time, it was colonizers. They were going to school, and his father was just acting like he was acting that he knew how to read, to tell him to do his homework. But his father didn't know how to read. But he knew at the time that education was so important. That was the only way at the time for them to succeed. It was a system. Okay, the colonizer brought a system that we didn't know. They thought was good, maybe, but that's what it is. Okay. They brought also this colonization in Asia. And I say last time, the continent that's going to condemn Africa in the eyes of God is Asia. Because we have no more excuses today. No more excuses. Asia, they have countries like Malaysia, which country? Brunei, or countries like that will have the same type of the weather, some type of I don't know, vegetation, don't know how to say that in English, but they build the country. If you go to Singapore, people say that my sister told me that you can even sleep on the floor. Russia, same. Because she went to Russia, she went to Moscow. It's so clean. Okay, oh no, I don't talk about Russia. I talk about countries like us, that start like us, like maybe South Korea. South Korea and Africa, they weren't very different at the time. Even China. But look the difference today. Nothing in common. Africa is enough. Really, the way that you are always blaming the West, it doesn't work anymore. And you people who are always talking about racism, I think it's about time to stop and to realize that the African people, the black people that you see, are not that nice. No. Okay? I don't say that racism doesn't exist. I keep saying that racism exists. But I've seen more love. When white people love, they love the love these people have. compared to the black people, I'm telling you, nothing in common. Okay? Today you see how how African goes in these countries in Europe. They break this, they mess up stuff. Yeah, the colonizer, when they came, they put us in situations that we didn't like. You were forced to do some work that was horrible. They were cutting hands, but at the same time, they were also building stuff. Okay, but us, we go to Europe today. What are we doing there? Nothing. We destroy stuff. Okay. Some of you say, yeah, but in the history they came to invade Africa and so on. So I have a question. Countries like Denmark, like Sweden, like Finland, like, I don't know, Iceland, I don't know. These countries, they have no history in common with us, Africa, but you are still going there illegally. You are still going there, you break the borders, you enter there too. Denmark, what do they know about us? What history they have in common with us? Today, the Middle East and Africa are giving headaches to Europe. See the immigration now. Look how you do stuff. Look, it becomes difficult. They don't know what to do anymore. And why people who have already warned us, who talk about our habit, were called racist, but they were telling the truth at the time. And today now, what is the situation? I don't know what to say anymore. You go in Africa, the compassion doesn't exist. Empathy, compassion. You saw what happened? You see what happened in Africa? I saw a scene that made me cry. It happened in South Africa. The woman was pregnant because she was, according to them, not African. I think they call like Dudula or something like that. They told her to leave the hospital. A pregnant woman. I mean, come on, people. Have you seen that in European countries? Even us Black African, when we are going there, we are still treated with dignity, even when you are illegal. It's because they have enough. That's why sometimes they are they cannot take anymore, which I understand. But usually, they treat people with dignity. Because these countries, they base, if you look at the base of their laws, usually are Christian laws. Yeah, for those who hate Christian, I just announced you, even America. That's why you live perfectly in these countries. Okay? But us Africans who call ourselves Christian or who hate Christian, who hate Christianity, what do we have beautiful in our country? How do we treat people in our country? African to African, you are xenophobic. What is it? When I say the African, the Black are hateful. They are hateful. A pregnant woman. I understand that sometimes when immigration is too much, okay, but when we call European racist because they cannot take more immigrants anymore, we call them racist. You see the dichotomy. You see how I say African, there is a kind of bipolarity somewhere. I don't know how to explain that. I understand sometimes it's too much, but if you are angry, your corrupt government is the one who is responsible for that. History will not forget what you are doing. History will not forget what you are doing. Africa is not ready for a change. I sometimes hear my friends say, oh, Africa is changing. I'm laughing. We need another generation, maybe two. Because the way I see how Africans think, this hypocrisy, until we are ready to say, okay, there are things that we do are wrong. I'm disappointed. The African society, yeah, it's very patriarchal. And I was before very proud of my patriarchal culture because I come from a tribe that is patriarchal. Because for me, it's about the men protecting the family. But today, it has completely changed. The patriarchal is now the misogynist, the one who is attacking, who hate women. And it's very common. Okay? It's very common. It's not something new. Now we see with all the news we are looking and so on, we see how women are treating Africa. Okay, there is no more doubt about it. Black women, especially, and I don't know what to say anymore. Um, they already, I don't know. So sometimes they come, they tell us what they suggest is best for us. We get angry. They tell us, okay, but you get angry, but you are the same one who are going to ask to lend money or to ask for help. Does that make any sense? Does that make any sense to you? The same people, they talk about they want to be free from oppression and so on, but the same people are in love with their dictators. Do you understand that these people, there is something wrong? There is something wrong somewhere. And then, I mean, sometimes I'm sitting and I'm looking at Africa, I'm like, what is wrong? I don't know. You are going to film buildings in Africa to respond to the white folks that you still have building. Buildings is nothing, okay? That doesn't make a country. A country is all the system that I was talking about that must function properly. Education system, if it's not functioning properly in your country, you don't have a country developed. Your healthcare system, if it's not working properly, the political aspect, the service that the government giving to the people, what type of services you have that is working perfectly fine in your country? You don't have water. You don't have electricity. I will tell you a story that happened in my family. My aunt told us the story. It happened in 2010, I think, something like that. 2010, remember. My little niece, it was by night. She went to her grandma, was in the kitchen cooking. And she say, "Mommy, mommy, mommy." She said, "What's wrong?" She was running. She was really that shocked. And my aunt was like, "What's going on?" Because she saw her granddaughter running like that. My little niece say, "There is rain. There is rain in the bathroom. There's rain in the bathroom coming from the roof." My aunt was shocked because they had no problem of roof. When she went in the bathroom, she saw the water coming from how when you take your shower, I forgot the name. And she realized that generation, that children, they don't know what is water coming from and she realized how bad it is. They don't know. Think about it. In 2020, you are going to blame the white until when? This is your own work. Some people don't know what the shower coming from the knob, from the, they don't know. They don't know. They only use, today in my country, people take, for us who have showers still, we are lucky. Not only my country, many countries in Africa. I heard, I read, I watch. And then we take video, we want to show that they're not stupid. They know. Some place that we call, oh, this is African, this is residential, they'll be laughing. I told you, you look Beverly Hills, you look the African place, the guy went to Miami, not far from not far from Mar-a-Lago, all this part like that. It was beautiful. Even in Houston, you see some place, African places, has nothing to do. But you say, oh, we have residential place in Africa. Do you really have it? The same way? Stop. Okay, it's time to stop this nonsense. Thank you for watching.